What if, instead of being a free and fair reflection of the people's will, the Brexit referendum was one of the biggest frauds ever perpetrated on British democracy?
In any other election, if fraud of this level had been uncovered, then we have the legislation that puts aside the results and we have the election again.
Let June the 23rd go down in our history as our Independence Day!
As the post-mortems got underway, attention began focusing on the role played by social media, a powerful tool for swaying public opinion. Bots are computer-generated accounts programmed to automatically push certain messages online.
What's happening here is that this bot is retweeting a range of real-world users. These accounts were, at least a portion of them, were operated by the Internet Research Agency in Russia.
Based in St. Petersburg, the Internet Research Agency, or IRA, is a troll farm, an organisation created expressly to sow discord and disinformation on the web. It was identified by American intelligence as having played a key role in manipulating the 2016 election of President Donald Trump. Though no one knew it at the time, it now seems that the IRA also played a role in Brexit.
On the day of the referendum, we found a marked change in behaviour. So accounts that had been intermittently tweeting on Brexit suddenly started tweeting a lot.
Edinburgh University researcher Dr. Claire Llewellyn has examined millions of tweets that were posted prior to the referendum. Many of them, it turns out, from the same suspect Internet Research Agency accounts.
And they were using that to promote a trending topic so that a lot of people saw that information, and therefore they were trying to affect Brexit using that strategy. So what we have here is trolls. So it's human people writing tweets. What they flipped to was being bots.
One of my greatest regrets in running the company is that we were slow in identifying the Russian information operations in 2016. And that was a big mistake. And it was my mistake. And I'm sorry.
What no one yet fully understands is the role that Facebook may have also played in Brexit. The fact that doubts persist is due in part to the company's connection to another murky affair. In early 2018, The Guardian newspaper revealed that 87 million personal Facebook accounts had been illegally harvested by a UK-based strategic communications business. Called Cambridge Analytica, it worked with the Trump presidential campaign and had ties to Leave EU. An offshoot of a larger company called SCL, which had an alleged background in military disinformation, Cambridge Analytica's promise was that it could target people with messages to modify their voting choices.
So, for a highly neurotic and conscientious audience, you're going to need a message that is rational and fear-based or emotionally based.
The Cambridge Analytica scandal would eventually wipe almost $120 billion off of Facebook's market value and raise serious questions about the vulnerability of Western democracies to manipulation.
Cambridge Analytica sought to identify mental vulnerabilities in voters and worked to exploit them by targeting information designed to activate some of the worst characteristics in people, such as neuroticism, paranoia, and racial biases.
Chris Wiley, a former director of Cambridge Analytica turned whistleblower, gave evidence to the US Senate and a British parliamentary committee that began taking an interest in the Brexit referendum and fake news.
Might have been different. I think it is completely reasonable to say that there could have been a different outcome in the referendum, had there not been, in my view, cheating.
There needs to be a deeper investigation of fake accounts, Facebook groups being used to propagate information.
Conservative MP Damien Collins is the chairman of the British Parliamentary Committee.
We've had evidence from Facebook, but we feel that we should hear from Mark Zuckerberg because he, by his own admission, he's the person that decides what happens at Facebook.
AIQ, or Aggregate IQ as it's sometimes known, is a Canadian-based data business. It had worked on US presidential primaries in 2015 with SCL Elections, Cambridge Analytica's parent company.
Literally a week before referendum date, we were spending hundreds of £1,000s a day on AIQ. Yep, a day. The money was sent directly from Vote Leave to AIQ. It never touched Believe bank accounts because we didn't even have a bank ready by then.
Sahni's disquiet at these events later turned him into a whistleblower. He passed his evidence to the Electoral Commission, and in July 2018 they fined Vote Leave £61,000 for, among other things, breaching the spending rules. Back in 2016, investigative journalist Peter Geoghegan was shocked when he saw a pro-Leave advertisement in a local English newspaper. The ad was sponsored by Ulster's Democratic Unionist Party, the DUP.
For them is a huge sum of money. They're spending it on a piece of material that's not going to circulate in Northern Ireland at all.
The single advertisement cost the DUP £282,000, almost 5 times as much as they had spent on their participation in the UK's general election the previous year. But no one knew from where the money had come to pay for it. Interestingly, the DUP spent another slice of the mysterious donation on the services of Aggregate IQ, same data company to which Vote Leave sent money when illegally circumventing the UK's strict referendum spending laws. Since the Brexit referendum, questions about the mysterious donors and the so-called dark money have continued to surface. Journalist Peter Jukes focused his attention on the biggest political donor in UK's history, insurance mogul Aaron Banks. Allegedly, he transferred more than £8 million in loans and donations to Leave EU and other Brexit campaigns.
There have been various questions about how Aaron Banks could afford this, because there's no visible means of support. He's not a wealthy man.
But what really concerns investigators are the multiple meetings Mr. Banks is known to have held with Russian officials in London in the months running up to the referendum.
Why would he be meeting in the run-up to Brexit? So many meetings. I mean, it turned out, if you're talking about Leave EU officials and Russian, embassy staff, 11 or 12 meetings in the run-up to Brexit. What on earth? Why were the Russians dangling lucrative offers to British businessmen bankrolling Brexit? You have to ask the question. Did foreign money make it into the Brexit campaign?
In November 2018, the Electoral Commission referred Aaron Banks to the National Crime Agency on suspicion that various criminal offences may have been committed. Banks declined to answer our questions. I went to meet Sajid Karim, a leading UK Conservative member of the European Parliament. He lays responsibility for the Brexit mess squarely at the feet of Russian President Vladimir Putin.
A weakening of the European Union is in his interests. It is his aim, it is his goal. And I'm afraid we are on the verge of delivering that for him today.
Russia is responsible for 80% of disinformation activities in Europe. 80%.
At a European Commission conference on electoral interference, former NATO Secretary-General Anders Rasmussen was giving a stark warning of the threat Europe faces.
Over the past 2 years, foreign interference has been detected in at least 10 elections and referendums on both sides of the Atlantic.
If you win a campaign or a referendum or an election based on breaking the law, then it isn't democratic. It's a lie. It's a scam. It's a cheat.